I hope you all had a great weekend, a relaxing weekend, and I hope you're feeling prepared for the upcoming week. Should be an eventful one. There are a couple catalysts on the horizon, and so stick around. I'm going to be discussing that particular catalyst later in the video. I'm also going to originally start off with going over some of my thoughts and reviewing some of the action from last week, and then I'm going to introduce a fresh idea near the end of the video. Also, feel free to drop any trading related questions in the comments, and I'll be sure to get to those in next week's video, and I'll answer as many as I can. So before I discuss any of the upcoming catalysts or ideas, I wanted to first review some of the action from last week. Now, not many saw or even correctly predicted the market experiencing such steady buying that it did last week. The tech sector obviously firmly led the way, and the overall market, looking at SPY, was up almost 1.5%. Qs obviously broke out of its channel and closed the week up nearly 3%. So one of my ideas from last week, as you might recall, was a pullback in the Qs because I believed that the market was stretched in the very short term to the upside. Obviously, that didn't materialize and there was no confirmation. So no swing trade was initiated. All right. Now, even though that's a trade idea that didn't come to fruition, I think there's a very valuable lesson and there's a key takeaway there. So I want to share this lesson with you. What it is it's the power of having if-then statements. So if you noticed from my plan last week, in the Qs, I laid out multiple scenarios that would essentially invalidate that trade idea and validate and result in me not putting on that trade. So for example, I mentioned that if it breaks above 370 and holds, or above the previous lower high of 373-ish, there's no trade, and that idea is not valid, all right? So I was prepared for what I would need to see in order to not put on that trade. So it's always important, and it's as important knowing what confirmation you want to see in order to enter a trade or to add to a position, but it's also equally important to know the specific price action and developments that would result in a trade being invalidated or even a reason to exit if you're already in that trade. So by having those if-then statements prepared and visualizing it, that prevented me from entering, essentially what would have been a losing position without receiving the confirmation that I needed. And just before I jump into reviewing an idea from last week, guys, I wanted to just mention that a reminder on Tuesday, November 14th, the CPI data will be coming out. That's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Obviously, that has the potential, as it's done in the past, to dictate the market trend and the action for the remainder of the week. So if those results surprise. So just a reminder, keep that in the front of your mind and be prepared for it with multiple different scenarios. So let's do a quick review of one of the ideas from last week, having already discussed the overall market, and that's IBRX. We can switch over to an hourly time frame. Actually, we'll stay on the daily just to show the clean uptrend, obviously, that we discussed last week. And that was really the basis for looking for a short swing within this. So this played out well. The stock obviously broke the uptrend that I discussed in last week's watch list, and it broke the 350 level, which is really the level that I was watching that would indicate a potential momentum shift. And that is what happened on Monday. And thereafter, we got multiple lower high entries right here versus the breakdown high and the high of the day on Monday. And so those were brilliant entry opportunities, multiple entry opportunities where one could have shorted these pops into 350s, 360s, risking against previous pivot high and breakdown level, uptrend break. And then, a couple days later, traded right into the anticipated target that I was watching, which was around $3. So, the momentum shift really played out well in the stock. And it's a really nice example of a stock that's been really bought up in anticipation of earnings, maintained an uptrend, broke the uptrend, very clean level, and really it's a simple, straightforward short swing setup, in my opinion. And so that was a really good one, textbook example, one that's pretty good to develop a playbook and journal about and take note of the levels, the entries, where to take profits, why I was looking at 3 previous level of support and a breakout level, really when it had its last final push higher before breaking lower, and obviously buy the rumors, sell the news into earnings in anticipation of earnings. And so it already had extended and priced that into the upside. Now going into this week, and admittedly, I must say that I am not too excited about anything. I'm definitely light on swing ideas and conviction this week, just because of where many stocks are now concerning and in relation to their moving averages and their 52-week range. Right, so I think things are a little bit stretched, which make it difficult, especially to the upside, for me to initiate any longs. With that being said, I'm going to be mostly reactive this week to the CPI on Tuesday, and in this tape, I'm going to be looking for move to moves. Now, I'm hoping that near the end of the week, midweek to end of the week, I'm hoping that a lot of stocks that are currently on my radar, recently, some power earning names like Roku, Palantir, etc., Microsoft making new all-time highs, I'm hoping that they correct over time, and I hope that they set up better swing opportunities in the coming weeks, all right? But there is one name that is on my list for really a straightforward reactive swing idea. And so basically with DraftKings, after breaking out of this high time frame consolidation, really nice pattern, really nice breakout, and it had amazing continuation to the upside thanks to its earnings. But on Friday, interestingly, it put in, after such a power move, a slight pullback, and put in an inside day, right? So that for me sets up a potential opportunity for a second leg higher and just another push higher. And the plan here is very straightforward and it's very reactive, all right? Now, in my opinion, DraftKings it's a little bit stretched to the upside given the move, all right? And given support, the move of support 26 traded to 36. So I'm not overly excited about it. And in that sense, really, this is a pure technical analysis, chart reactive type of an opportunity. So for me, what I'm looking for, we can shift over to the hourly time frame, and that's typically what I'll be using to trade this for entries and exits. But I'm looking for a break over 35.50s. If we can get that over 35.50 and hold, confirming a higher low and confirming a break above the short-term wedge, I'll look to get long with a stop at 35. All right, and at that point, I'm going to be in around half of my desired position. And from there, if we can get another push over 36, which looks like a push over 36, I would say with authority, and it doesn't stuff, that's when I'm going to double my position, and I'll maintain my hard stop near 35, because I wouldn't want to see the stock then push back and break back into this range and low end of the range and break down. So my stop, I'll give it some room to breathe, give it a point, which is the ATRs are on 1.6, so it's not quite a full ATR, but it's I would think that is essentially where I'm wrong in the trade, and that's where I'll maintain my stop. But my first target on this would be a move to 38. My second target on this, and I will say into 38, I'd look to take off half my position. That's when I'll use the stock's ATR, its average true range, and that's when I'll start to trail my stop if I get 38 and take off half my position by an ATR. All right, so roughly 1.6 below the current price. And my ultimate target for this position would be a move to 40. If we just zoom out a little bit, even use the weekly chart, 40 is a bit of a significant level. And so looking for a reversal test into 40 to take off the remainder of my position. With that being said, in the market, with catalysts in the first half of the week on Tuesday and the latter half of the week, I'm going to be definitely on my toes if I'm in this position and it's working, and I'll look to actively manage it based on the environment we're in and based on the extension that the stock already has. Now, a couple side watches, which definitely aren't for the strict swing traders, more for active traders, and I would say more for the experienced traders. These are some liquidation plays. One of them I discussed last week, EJH. It had some continuation, it's had sustained volume, and it's continuing to chug along in this uptrend. The other one is GDHD, another potential liquidation play. And so these ones I'm watching ready for just a abnormal volume to come in, sustained abnormal volume, and for trend breaks. A couple of recent ones that broke low was DTCK. What do I mean by volume to come in? Well, take note of volume on these days. It's flat, volume enters the stock, abnormal volume relative to previous days, and it is sustained, and then we get some downside momentum and trend breaks. That's essentially what I'm looking for. Another one that experienced it was NCL. I won't even zoom further out than this because this is the sustained volume that it had on its uptrend. You can see it's very light, non-existent, and then obviously volume comes in and volume is sustained. Once volume enters, that tells me that it's liquidating. And so I'm looking for these type of moves within EJH and GDHD. With that being said, once again, it's not for traders that are new. It's not for traders that don't have experience in this. It's really for traders that possess the correct skills, that have experience, that have studied this pattern, that have had some success with this pattern, and that have extreme risk management. I can't stress that enough. So guys, that is it for this week's watch list. Please feel free to post questions in the comment section. I'll be sure to get to them next week. And thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week trading, guys. Good luck.